Tim Rosenman, thank you.
There's a lot of good information that's already come out about this decision that the council's making. And as most of you on the council know, I already submitted to you a analysis that I did of the procurement process that the city has gone through to select a new vendor. Just briefly for the people in the room, I've been working with city governments for 15 years in competitive bidding processes, going through RFPs all across this country with many cities the size of Sherwood. And as I went through that, the process the city's gone through, the documentation, I have to say I became very troubled with what's been going on. I think I'll narrow it down to a couple things. Excuse me. I saw a lot of material deficiencies in the RFP itself. That was brought up earlier in the conversation here. The gentleman that came up before talked a lot about the Oregon state statutes around this, the city ordinance around this, the objective criteria that we're supposed to use in these analysis. And very importantly, if the evaluation criteria is not in the RFP, you can't use it to evaluate the vendors. And if you read the comments by the counselors in their evaluation forms, it's clear that that happened. So that's troubling. I also looked at the scoring that occurred, and this was commented on before. If you take the average score of the, or the split between people, how they voted for the YMCA and Health Fitness, and you averaged it for people that supported the YMCA versus Health Fitness, the average split for the people against the YMCA was 85 points out of 200. The average split for people that voted in favor of the YMCA was 15 points. 85 points, 15 points. Now, anyone looking at that has to say to themselves, what's going on here? You know, why is there such a large split between these two sides? It gives the impression that the process is being gamed, okay? And when you have evaluation criteria in an RFP that's very subjective, and there's nothing objective in that criteria, it just heightens that perception that the public's getting about this process. I think the number one problem that you're facing right now is the whole process is tainted. The public doesn't trust it. You know, I don't know, I can't speak to motivations, and I'm not going to get into that and why it's working this way, but it's very disturbing, and everyone I'm talking to is very upset with how this process has occurred. Another note I want to make on this is it's highly unusual. In all my years working with cities responding to RFPs, I've never seen a selection committee be the council, and I think that's a very, very bad practice for the city to engage in. Typically, you have staff/citizen committees that do the evaluation, make a recommendation, they give it to council for up-down vote. So with that said, I'm running out of time here. I just said I suggest highly that you cancel this RFP, you extend the contract with the YMCA for 1 year, you put a committee together of citizens and staff to evaluate, one, do we even need another RFP? Make a recommendation to council, up-down vote. If we do need another RFP, another committee, again, citizen and staff, and then give it to the council for an up-down vote. I think that's how you're going to restore faith in the community that you guys are making a good decision, and that we're not using a tainted process to get to where we're at.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the extra time. I wanted to get, a lot of people have talked about various subjects in terms of the ordinance stuff, so I did want to focus a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta, lean on in. Lean on in.
Sorry. Okay. So I did, as part of the analysis that I provided to the council, I took a look at the health fitness proposal. Councilor Garland, you had asked the question, could you rerun those numbers at 1%? I'd actually done that as looking at the proposal. I went back and looked at the growth rate of the YMCA as documented in the feasibility study. It was just under 1%. We're at 14.2% of the population of Sherwood in terms of membership in the YMCA. If you look at that nationally with the YMCA, Sherwood's a leader. You know, if you look at household memberships, Sherwood is at 4.8%. Nationally, the YMCA is at 4.5%. We're also at the top of an economic cycle right? Odds are we're going to have a decline here, or a flattening, or a recession. You know, our economy is cyclical. I was dismayed when I saw that Health Fitness had a 5% just linear growth. And by the way, they wanted their cake and eat it too. They had no growth in expenses associated with that. When you rerun those numbers at 1% growth rate, and you reset the 3,000 members starting point that they have to where the YMCA is at today, pushed up a little bit for the 1% rate in their start time, the loss to the city, or the shortfall, is $1.5 million, okay? If you take out the $500,000 over the 5 years where they did the salary reductions in the first round of financial proposals, second round that they proposed to us, it's $2 million. Lo and behold, that matches how far they've come from their original proposal to where they're at now, okay? So I advise the council to look very closely at those growth rates. We're doing a budgeting process here. You're trying to ensure that we don't have budget shortfalls in the future. The gentleman that was here, by the way, I've been in his shoes. I felt sorry for him, but the gentleman that was here stated, these are aspirational goals. You guys can't budget. You can't plan on aspirational goals. You have to plan on reality, right? The gentleman talked about the PERS, the liability, undocumented liabilities all our cities are facing with PERS. We know that's coming, and it's going to be big. We can't have a $1.5 million shortfall that the city's picking up. So I really advise you to take a close look at those estimates. They're bogus, okay? And I say that as someone who's presented before because I've played those games to win, okay? I'm sitting on the other side of the fence now. I recognize it when I see it. And I advise you to really take a close look at that because you're not going to hit the 5%.
Okay, thank you.